As we prepare ourselves for Pesach and approach Shabbos Parshas HaChodesh, I'd like to use the idea of the mitzvah of HaChodesh as the mitzvah that Hashem chose to be the first mitzvah for Am Yisrael as a nation, a mitzvah given to us before Matan Torah, before the rest of the mitzvahs, and ask why, in the time of Hashem's engagement to us, before Matan Torah, which is our wedding, did Hashem teach us the mitzvah of HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem? What was Hashem trying to tell us? And I think one of the main answers is that Hashem was telling us, you, my bride, Am Yisrael, you are different than all the other nations. The other nations follow a yearly cycle. Year from the word shana, from the word yashen, yashan, one long year, one day, similar to the other. Hashem was telling Am Yisrael, I would like something different. I would like a lunar calendar. A lunar calendar following a monthly cycle, month, chodesh, from the word chadash, hitchachut. I want our marriage, Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our marriage, to be full of life, vitality, growth. Every month we should grow in our commitment, in our connection, in our hiskashrus, and it should follow a monthly pattern of growth, then connection, and then regrowth and rebirth. That it shouldn't be one long, boring marriage, but a marriage full of excitement, laughter, yomim tevim, shabbosim, every time, every month, having a new beginning, a new idea, a new excitement. Taking this idea, we could adapt it to our marriage, and it's interesting to note that as Chas and Kala, we also learn Taharas Hamishpacha, we prepare ourselves to our marriage that is also based on a monthly cycle. The same idea of hischachus, of revitalizing, rejuvenating, of growing, going michayel el chayel, and it's very powerful to know that Hashem understood our neshamas, understood our life, that we don't want to go into a marriage, or we fear going into a marriage that we know will be for a very, very long time, in Mitzvah Hashem, and we don't want it to be one long, boring type of life, but we would like hischachus, but people are afraid of going into hischachus, of change. No, we want it to be the same, but on the other hand, we're afraid of it staying the same, it might get boring. So Hashem taught us and gave us the gift of Taharas Hamishpacha, whereas on one hand we have a structure, a routine, but on the other hand we have the opportunity of growing, of change, of rebirth every month. Using this idea, I'd like to suggest an exercise that I do with couples. Every couple on its own. When I sit with a kala or a couple, I ask them to write down what things would you like, what qualities do you expect to have in your life, or what qualities would you like to bring out in your life together. And I ask them to make a list. And I'll tell you some of the words. Everybody could use their own and their qualities that they would like. It's very individual. But I could tell you some of the qualities that people would like to bring out in their marriage, that they bring up. It's things like respect, communication, space, unconditional love, appreciation, awareness, a oneness, a togetherness. Sometimes they add privacy, my own privacy. An interesting quality that comes up is mystery. Not to be so known, like so, there is something very nice about togetherness, but there's also some part that is mine. Still be mysterious, wanting to find out more about your spouse. Excitement is a powerful midah that people are looking for. Anticipation, and of course not being taken for granted. Distance is sometimes a word that is brought up, that still not this complete oneness, but still have some distance that maybe means respect. Everybody explains it in a different way. You can add more qualities, more midas, more patience. Every couple could add what they would like. What I do is I take all the mitzvahs of Taharas Hamishpacha, I put it in a time frame. Take the timeline of every month, the time that the woman gets her period, the days that she has her period, then the 7 Shiva Nikiyim, days that she prepares herself for going to the Mikvah, then the day of Mikvah, and then the rest of the month of togetherness. And see where in those days, what midos, what qualities I would like to, or you would like to work on, be more aware of at that time. So let's say I would do, I'll show you. Let's say I would do the 5 days of, I would have my list here of the things that I would like to work on, whether it's respect, space. I would first make my list. Then I would do the timeline. I would say, where could I fit in those things? In what time frame is it good for me to work on those things? So let's say I have the time of period, and then the Shiva Nikiyim. What could I work on while I'm the woman? Let's say if I'm speaking as a woman, what can I work on or work together with my husband if we do it as a joint project in this time that I have the period? So maybe it's the space. Maybe I realize I don't give my husband enough of his space. I'm always asking, where were you? What are you doing? Who are you speaking to? This is a time for each other to give each other this space. Maybe my husband complained that I don't give him enough space. I'm too much on his head. This is the time. HaKadosh Baruch Hu built it into our monthly cycle. So or if a woman for herself, that she wants to feel that as an individual, her own space, to do something for herself. Where should she put it in? She should put it in those days that she has her period, whether it's meeting with a friend or going to a class, something she wants to add for herself, to feel herself as an individual, if that's on her list of things that she wants to work on. What is my individuality? So this month, in this time, I will work on that midah. Let's say I have on my list the word awareness. Maybe I'm not so aware and appreciate what my husband does for me, or I feel that he's not aware of the things that I do at that time. So I'll put it in personally in the times of the Shiva Nikiyim. I am preparing to be together. So I become more aware of what my husband does, or my husband, if he takes this as his project, to be more aware of whether it's sight, sound, things that I do, or things that I prepare. The time of the Shiva Nikiyim, when we are in harchakas, we are in distance. What does distance mean? We're stepping out of a picture. We're not together, we're stepping aside. When you step aside, you could look at things and become more aware. When you want to look at a picture, you step back and you look at the picture, you become more aware of the details. So in the times of harchakas, it's a good time to work on awareness, of appreciation. If you have the word respect, maybe this is the time to work on the quality of respect because that distance gives you a feeling of looking from the side, and when you look from the side, from the distance, you could maybe respect the person more. So this is a time that I would put in appreciation, awareness, privacy, respect. Let's say you have on your list the word communication. We'd like to work on our communication. When should we work on it? Should we work on the 5 days, 5+ days of period, or 7 days, or the rest of the month? So there are many people who would say, in those 12 days of Harchakas is a good time to work on communication. There's no physical connection, so we'll use our words. This is the time to learn how to speak to each other, to choose words, because we have to choose anyways according to halacha. You can't just say anything. Tzchok, kalus rosh is not allowed, and therefore you choose your words, you choose what you talk about. So this is a good time to be aware of how our communication skills are. Maybe this month, I'm not saying you should do everything the same month. One month you work at this time on your communication skills, one time you work on your respect, and next month you could work on your appreciation, your awareness, your space. So when I sit with people and they, if they have a little issue of shalom bayis, I ask them, when do you work on your communication skills? And I sometimes hear that in the time of togetherness, they don't want to bring up certain subjects that might cause flare-ups, might cause ill feelings. So I tell them, in the time of the Harchakas, where you could sit facing each other, is a good time to discuss things. Set up like a meeting. See, what's beautiful about Taharas Hamishpacha, on one hand, it's a framework, it's a routine, which we like in our lives. That's why a chodesh b'chodsho, there is a constant rhythm every month as Jews, but in every month Hashem threw in something of a yontif, which is an excitement, which is a change of the routine. We have our Shabbos, our weekdays, and our Shabbos, weekdays and Shabbos, a routine, but we also like to have a little change. And this should be also in our marriage. So sitting down together, making a date, when you sit down together, to communicate, to discuss things, is part of a routine, but it brings in an excitement that changes things in our routine. This is the beauty of Taharas Hamishpacha, that it works with structure, but brings some laughter and differences every month. What other midos could we put into our time frame? Let's say you have unconditional love in your time, in your list. Where do we put that in? Do we put it into the 5 days, the 7 days, or in the rest of the month? Many women choose it in the times of Harchakas, where they want to feel unconditional love in unexpected ways, within, of course, the framework of halacha, whether it's in help in the house, which shows love, things that you ask for many times and it doesn't happen. So at that time, the husband should be more aware of showing it and making an effort of doing dafka what she requested, whether it's to remember to bring something from the cleaners or it's to take out the garbage or whatever it is. That's the time that he should make more effort to show his unconditional love in little acts and little things that are around the house or whatever she asks for. That's a good time. In the week of preparation for the mikvah is the week of anticipation, which is a beautiful midah, a beautiful quality. We have it Sfir Sa'omer, Hashem gave us to work on this midah of counting the days of being together, of getting married. We see it when we teach Taharas Hamishpacha, Madrichot Kalot, Kala teachers, we see how the Kalas are in such excitement of anticipation, of waiting to get married. This quality is sometimes missing in our marriage, and as the Rebbe spoke to us, that we should wait for Mashiach, we should bring up and awaken this feeling of anticipation, achakelo, is something that sometimes falls dormant and falls asleep in our lives of marriage and of one day being similar to the other. This is a great midah to work on, of waiting, excitement, of wanting to be together and showing it, speaking, even talking about it in a tzniusdik way, according to halacha, of course, and doing little things to make it felt between husband and wife of wanting to be together. That's the idea of hischachus. What I feel that some women, the 12 days, and especially the 5 days before going to the mikvah, are wasted, are dulled and numbed because it's not being used in the proper way. All they could think of is the time after the mikvah, but not the time of now. And there's so much now in our lives that is wasted with thinking what will be later. So on one hand, anticipation is a great midah because it brings excitement in the air. It's countdown to a wedding, it's countdown to mikvah. But also to use that time and things of now. What can I do? And what does the word preparation, 7 days of preparing, what does preparing mean? There's so many things that midos and qualities that we could use at the now time of the 7. It's like the Rebbe taught us, the Golos also has a purpose. To use the time of the Shiva Nikiyim of, like I said, communication, of connection, of respect, of looking at my marriage from the outside, like what is missing? What is this? What does the harchakas mean? What does this distance mean? It's not only to feel later more connected, but it in itself has a purpose. Mirachok Hashem nir'ali ve'avat olam ahavtich. When I look at Hashem from the distance, it causes a greater love. So this time frame is a very, very important part of our marriage if we use it correctly. We could bring out a lot of midas and qualities at this time. And then, of course, from the time of togetherness, the rest of the month, we could bring in the midah of mystery, of excitement, of laughter. I sometimes give women the exercise of every month, add something that will make you laugh, or do something that'll make your husband laugh. It's interesting that Yitzchak, one of our Avos, who on one hand is the most mysterious of the Avos, it was more distant. We hear more about Yaakov and Avram, but Yitzchak is called Yitzchak from the word laughter. And Dafka by him, he and his wife were very different. He was Ola Tzmima, and she was more a daughter of a Rasha. And it says that when Avimelech saw them, and he thought at first he was told they were brother and sister, he saw the way they were connecting with each other, he realized that this was a connection of a husband and a wife, and not a brother and sister. And I read somewhere it was because the way Rivka made him laugh. She brought out the tzchok in the yitzchak. Laughter, happiness, is something that a wife could bring out in the family, in her husband, and even in herself. So I would make a list to myself of what things makes me laugh, what makes my husband laugh, what makes my children excited. And in the time from Mikvah to the next time, get the period, to do little things every month to find a way to bring out that laughter, that surprise, that excitement in different things. It could be a book, it could be a game, it could be something, to do something, to make up my mind to do something, whether it's to take a walk, to make us feel good, to make us happy. So just to summarize, we could use the time frame of Taharas Hamishpacha with the halachas to bring out qualities that we would like in our family life, whether it's patience. Taharas Hamishpacha teaches us to wait, which is a very, very great virtue to have in life, that we're losing it a little bit with everything being so instant and so available. Here it's teaching us to practice our patience, to practice waiting, that everything takes time, respect has to be worked on, appreciation has to be worked on, awareness is something that we have to open up our eyes to see, to look for. What does my wife do? What does my husband do for me? We should use every part of the time frame of when a woman's in Nida, when she's waiting the Shiva Nikim, and then the rest of the month, the togetherness, for qualities that I would like to bring into our marriage. This is an exercise that could be done every month to change your list, to look back how I did this month and what I have to strengthen the following month. And this way we could really bring a hischachus, a happiness, a rejuvenation, a rebirth, like we have every month as a nation. We could have it every month in our lives, and we should be zeche to that our anticipation for the real geula, the real marriage of Am Yisrael with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we would see the happiness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu with our eyes, how happy He is with us, and we will feel it also in our personal marriages.